Hello everybody, in this video we've got the 2024 presidential election between Joe Biden and Ron DeSantis based on the polls. I did one for Biden and Trump a couple weeks ago. This time we're going to see how Joe does up against Ron. Now a couple of caveats. This is not my map, this is just the map based on the current polling as of mid-December. Now I tried to get most of the data from the average on Real Clear Politics. However, given that this is Ron DeSantis and not Donald Trump, sometimes there's a lot less data out there, and sometimes the data is not current. It might be more than 6 months old. So I did what I could. I also used 538, Wikipedia. I wanted to try to get the most amount of data I could, and other states had no data. For those, I defaulted back to the 2020 margin, which in most cases is going to be a safe over 10-point margin. So with those things in mind, there's going to be some crazy looking states on this map, but we're going to start filling it out with the safe states. These are going to be over a 10-point margin. And for Biden, it's the usual: Hawaii, the West Coast, Illinois, and most of the Northeast. This is pretty much how the map would look in every matchup. There is one exception. In this matchup, New Hampshire actually does hit over 10 points. But the rest of this looks just how we would expect, except for a couple of states like Colorado or Virginia. They're not safe for Biden. Now, if we look at the safe states for DeSantis, there was no data for Alaska, but it's going to go safe. Then it's all the usual states from Idaho all the way across the Midwest over to West Virginia. But there is a notable exception to these safe states. It's not Missouri. It's not Indiana. It's actually South Carolina. There was only one poll I could find that was outdated, and it actually did show a tied race. I think DeSantis would win it easily in an actual election, but for this, we're going to put it as yellow because it was dead even. Now, if we look at the likely states for Biden, this is between a 5 and a 10-point margin. We've got two of them. We're looking at New Mexico and Minnesota. Also, keep in mind, some of these margins might be borderline 5 or 10 points, so as soon as a fresh poll comes out, that would change these ratings. And we've got to throw in Nebraska's second. There was no data here, so the default was the margin from 2020. Now, how about the likely states for DeSantis? We've got Iowa, and we've got his home state of Florida, and all the way in the Northeast, Maine's 2nd congressional district. It is safe for Biden at large. I couldn't find anything for the 2nd, so I kept the same margin as last time. Now, how about the lean states for Biden? These are less than 5, but over a 1-point margin, and Biden is going to get Colorado. It was a narrower margin than New Mexico, but that's what the data was showing at the time. Also, for Biden, we're going to go into the Sun Belt, and we're going to go north of DeSantis' home state to Georgia. The most recent polls I found did actually show Biden with a low single-digit advantage. Now, while we're here, we're going to take a look at Virginia. This is another state similar to South Carolina. I think Biden would get it in the end, but whatever scant data I had at the time, it showed a dead even race, so we're going to have to color this yellow because it's another tie. Now, there is one more state for Biden, and that is actually going to be the Buckeye state, Ohio. And again, I couldn't really find much here between DeSantis and Biden, but the Ohio Northern University poll from October apparently had Biden with a small advantage. Do I think this would happen? No, I don't. But I wasn't going to make up any data, and this is all I could find. Now, the lean states for DeSantis. We're going to start in Nevada and go counterclockwise. After that, we've got Arizona. If you're waiting for Texas, DeSantis does get it, but it is narrower than the margins with Trump. Then we're going to keep going around in North Carolina. After that, we're going to stop off in PA. He's going to get those 19 electoral votes. Then we're going to keep going all the way to the top and go to Wisconsin. From what I could find, DeSantis did have a small lead in all those states. Usually there was more than one poll here, but we've got one call left, and that's Michigan. The recent polls are kind of scattered, but once they're averaged out, it actually comes out to another exact tie. So Michigan is going to go yellow, and that means the final total as of this video, it's Ron DeSantis with 255, Joe Biden with 246, 37 electoral votes hang in the balance. I think it's pretty likely DeSantis picks up South Carolina, Biden is going to pick up Virginia, and who knows about Michigan, but nobody gets to 270. DeSantis is in the lead, and as I said, there's some anomalies on here. Ohio going leans for Biden, while DeSantis picks up Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. I don't think there's any chance of that happening. I'm also skeptical of Georgia going leans for Biden in this scenario, but you never know what could happen with this kind of a matchup. This is just what I could find based on the polls. I would expect it to change. However, I don't at all expect DeSantis to be the nominee, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of polls with him in the future. And as I said, some of this data is several months old or more, but I took the time to compile it, and this is what I found: DeSantis with a small advantage. I know there's some DeSantis fans out there, and I would say a year ago after the midterms, that's when DeSantis was at his absolute peak. He won re election by a landslide, but Republicans had lackluster success. A lot of Trump candidates did not win. Trump had indictments looming. It looked like DeSantis could potentially be the guy to step in for the Republicans. But after the indictments came, Trump got more popular. He started to hit DeSantis, and DeSantis started to sink. Then a bunch of other candidates got into the race. Meanwhile, Trump maintained his dominance, and at the same time, Biden continued to remain unpopular. So could DeSantis beat Biden in a general election? Sure, I think it's possible, but it's just so difficult to remove Trump from the equation and then try to guess how DeSantis would do in a crowded GOP primary, all while projecting ahead to a general election next year where we don't know what the environment is going to be like. It's way easier said than done, and I think the biggest questions are in the Rust Belt. What I hear the most is Trump can win in the Rust Belt, DeSantis can't. That might be true, but if Biden's popularity is so low, then I think all bets are off. So you could go on about this and speculate endlessly. This is close to how the map would look right now based on the polls, so let me know in the comments. What do you think about this map? I know Ohio going blue is going to be a shock, but other than that, could Biden beat DeSantis or would Ron come out on top? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.